Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. So today, Jason and I are working on getting some more trees planted. Yes, I know you all are probably tired of seeing us planting trees, but we're almost done, I promise. And today we are going to be planting trees in the center island. But with that comes a couple things that we have to do first. And those things are, one, mapping out the pathway that we're going to have right here. And then two, removing some of the cut flowers, which is really sad, but it's part of it. It's time. I'm always torn when it's time to take things out at the end of the season because they could last a little bit longer, but I also got to get started on, end of the season projects and stuff preparing for next year. That's one thing that I have definitely learned working in this new property is planning is key. Planning is so important. Thinking a couple steps ahead of where you're at makes the job so much easier. And Michael Glassman came last year and he made us a whole landscape plan. And that has just been absolutely gold for us because we kind of know the direction that we're going, and we're not just kind of planting things here without a plan. So like I said, we're working in the center island today, and our goal for today, I hope we finish it today, our goal is to plant 2 Tuscarora Crape Myrtle trees. They're going to be so beautiful right here. I'm so excited. It's going to bring so much color, and we are going to be planting them on either side of a pathway that goes about right here, right through the center island here. What it's going to do is it's going to go and then it's going to cross over a dry creek bed that's going the other direction, going that way. And so I don't know exactly where to plant the crepe myrtle trees because I don't know exactly where the pathway is going to go yet, but I have a cheat sheet or a plan, a landscape designer plan, courtesy of Michael Glassman, which is worth its weight in gold. You all have heard me say that a million times. He gave us 2 of these plans. This one I use for marking up. I write things on, I change things, I cross things out. This is kind of like my working one. And then I have another one that I'm keeping nice and clean, just so I can reference back to it if I completely mess this one up. So I use this thing absolutely all the time because it just makes it really easy for me to map out where things are going to go and see if they're going to fit and all that kind of stuff. And the way that I do that is I use this thing. This is called a scale ruler. You all might have seen these before. What these are used by architects, designers, engineers, and what it does is it just gives you a ruler in scale, whatever scale you're using on your plan. So if you look at Michael Glassman's plan, you can see he wrote scale 1/8 inch equals 1 foot. So I know I'm going to come over here to my scale ruler and I'm just going to look right there. There's my 1/8 inch scale. Starts with 0 and then each tick is equal to 1/8 of an inch, which is equivalent to 1 foot in the garden. And I can't even tell you all, it makes it so easy. I use this when I'm planning what flowers I'm going to plant, like a planting plan, to see if things will fit, to see if, the spacing will fit for my flowers. And I have found that I'm always using 1/8 of an inch scale, 1/8 scale, basically. So what I do, if I come down to Michael Glassman's plan right here, this is the one that includes the trees, the planting. This is just the hardscape one. You can see I did move. This pathway was supposed to come here, but we decided not to put in this pathway and we just have this one here. So I changed it. Can you see how I changed it over there like that? Ugh, spider. Gosh. So all I do, oh my goodness, this spider is aggressive. All I do if I want to measure out, like say how far the corner of the center island is to where the pathway crosses the dry creek bed, all I do is I line up my scale ruler. I start it at the 0 mark and then I go all the way. And I can see 32, 33, 34 feet. That's how far it is. That's how far the pathway is going to be in a straight distance from here all the way over to there. So by just measuring it out, having this as a reference point, and then Jason and I like using these flags. You can also get the spray, the marking spray. I don't like that as much because I feel like it fades really quickly. But just using these, it makes it so that you can lay everything out, and then 10 steps down the line, everything is still going to work because you followed an original plan. Another tool that I use all the time is one of these things, one of these circle templates. They're like, I think they're called drafting templates. So I use these a lot in conjunction with my scale ruler. So basically what I do is I use this to figure out if the spacing, if the size of a plant is going to be able to fit into my plan. For instance, this El Nino Catalpa right here, it looks small. It looks like a shrub. It's actually going to get about 8 to 10 feet wide. So it's going to be a pretty big tree in the future. And it's hard to imagine it fitting right there. So it makes it way easier if you have it on a plan. So you can see right here, I used this circle. The reason why I use this circle is I took my 1/8 scale, which I know that this map is to 1/8 scale, 1/8 inch scale, and I measured a 9/8 of an inch this is diameter circle. I hope that makes sense. So basically this circle corresponds to 9 feet in diameter. So I can mark it right there, and I know that this is going to be 9 feet. I did 9 because it's between 8 and 10. And I know the El Nino Catalpa is going to fit perfectly right there alongside my crepe myrtles over here. This is I ended up moving this, so this is crossed out. And so I just know everything is going to fit in really, really well. I have another map that I traced, and I did more markings for my trees. I just wanted to show you how I use it for this. So these two pieces of equipment are very cheap, but they're very, very easy to use once you figure it out. And once you get kind of a map of your garden, you can kind of figure it out yourself and map it out. In our last place, Jason mapped out our entire garden using a ruler. He used he figured out how many feet a pathway was. He converted it into 1/8, and then he put it on a piece of paper for 1/8. I hope that this all makes sense. But a lot of people ask me how I plan out my garden, and I plan it out using these two things. Because when it's time to put it back out into the garden, or to measure something, or to see if something fits, it's very, very easy because I know everything is to scale. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to measure points on my map, and then I'm going to take them over to the center island and measure them in feet with my measuring tape, and then I'm going to mark it all out with my flags. So that was tough, not as in physically tough, mentally tough to remove those pretty flowers. But that's okay. They were on their last leg anyway. So you can see here we have the beginning of the pathway, and it's going to kind of flare out a little bit. I like how it looks when it kind of flares out a little bit. And then if you can see down here, we have the end of the pathway. So right here is where it's going to cross the dry creek bed and then end up kind of where those orange flowers are, the marigolds are. So basically from here to the beginning, there needs to be some type of pretty curve, and I don't really know exactly how I want the curve to go, and so that's why we brought a hose out so that we can lay it out and have a good look at it and see the type of curve that we like. The other thing that we did is Jason cut a 2x4 to 4 feet, which is the width of the pathway, and then once we get the hose laid out in a pretty alignment, what would you say? Pretty shape, pretty curve. Then we'll go along with this 4-foot board and then just measure out, and that'll make it so that we can measure out the pathway at the same distance, make it really easy. Great. Again, the width is 4 feet, and that is perfect. That's what all the other pathways we've been using are at, just so that we can get our wagons down, our wheelbarrows down, all that kind of stuff. And this pathway will be more of the decomposed granite with the edge right metal edging on the sides, which we are absolutely loving. So yeah, I'm glad that I know it's to scale. I'm glad that it ends at the point that it's supposed to end. It just makes me feel so much better because now I'm going to measure out where the crepe myrtles are going to go, and I know that they'll be in just the exact spot. I think Monty likes it. So this corresponds to this. Okay, so now I will measure out where the crepe myrtle trees are going to go exactly. What I kind of want is I kind of want them to create like a canopy, like an arch with their branches, so that once they're full grown, I can limb them up and we can walk through them as we're walking on this pathway. Won't that be so pretty? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to think of where their spread is to where their spread is touching in the middle so that it completely covers the pathway. I think that that will be just beautiful. my phone ran out of batteries. I am not sure how much I got recorded. I'll see once I start editing, but at least you can see the final product. I think it looks so good. Every time I put one of these trees in, I get super, super excited. And I have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more trees that are going in the center island. So it's just going to change everything. So you see, I got both crepe myrtles planted. It's about 10 feet on center from the center of the island. So pretty much the biggest it's going to get is a 20-foot spread. So it might just touch, the two might just touch in the middle, and then they might go over the edge of the driveway a little bit, but I'm planning to limb them all up. Oh man, it's going to look so good, you guys. And then you can see I did take the transport stakes out finally for this one, just to show you. And I put in these support stakes, and these guys are probably going to stay on here for a whole year, maybe 6 months if it grows pretty quickly, but I think I'm just going to kind of plan on it for a year. And the right way to do it, the technically right way to do it, is you want to put them perpendicular to your prevailing winds. So here where I live, our prevailing winds are south-southwest. So where I'm looking right now is south-southwest. So I'm putting my posts side to side, and so then that way when the wind comes, the two straps on either side are going to be able to hold it in place, but not too strongly. And that's the most important thing. You want these trees to be able to move a little bit. You want them to have a lot of motion so that they can wobble like this, and then by wobbling they're going to get nice and strong and create its own cambium layer to create stability. If I put a post right next to the tree and tight it really, really tight, first of all, that is going to hurt the tree. The tree is going to kind of grow into the post, and that's really bad for the tree, for taking up nutrients and taking up water. But then secondly, it's not going to allow it to develop the strength that it needs to withstand all the storms that we have. So it's really important not to overcorrect, not to baby it too much. So again, I'll take these off. I'll take the posts off in about a year, and I think it'll be beautiful. These trees grow pretty fast. They can grow up to 3 feet a year. So I'm expecting some really, really beautiful growth. And again, some late summer, beautiful, beautiful color, which I think is just going to be, it's just going to be so, so gorgeous here in the center island. So it's so fun to see plans come off the paper and get in the garden. Yes, they are just flags, and we are not planning to actually install the pathway. Probably not until, I would say, December, because I really want to save our time for fall planting. Fall planting should be absolutely done by 6 weeks before your first frost. So my first frost is in early December, so I need to get all my planting done before November starts. And so then I will be able to focus on all these other projects that don't have a time limit on them. But for right now, it's getting trees in, it's getting perennials in, it's getting shrubs in. That is our priority right now. So like I said, I know there's been a lot of tree planting videos, just a couple more, I promise. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.